Okay, hello everybody. This is Tammy Higginbotham, Executive National Vice President, Director Carlita Nelson, and I am going to introduce our guest for us tonight. It's Executive Regional Vice President Marie Tomlinson. Marie has a very beautiful family and an incredible supportive husband, and she's going to be training for us tonight. So hold on tight because she always does an incredible job. So just a moment, Marie, and let me spotlight you, and we are going to make sure that you're good to go. Okay, Marie, it's all yours. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Tammy, and thank you guys so much for taking the time to get on. I'm super excited to connect with you tonight. And for those of you that saw maybe like the little cheesy graphic I made today, we're going to talk about motivation and how to stay motivated in our businesses and to work. And it might be a little different than you think we're going to, but I'm actually really excited about it. So as I was kind of typing it out today, I started getting all fired up and like all hopped up on Arbonne. And so I'm going to try to like go through it so that we can get through it and I can share with you because it motivated myself and got me excited. So I'm hoping it'll do the same for you. So first, I want to start by asking you if you can relate to one of the two following scenarios. So first is, or really, I guess, even if you're brand new in Arbonne, this would probably be a scenario you faced in another area in your life. But let's, for the most part, think of it through the lens of our Arbonne businesses. So you wake up one morning and your day's off to a great start. You're feeling positive, focused, brave. So you go and you make your Arbonne phone calls and you go out and about and you're talking to people. You schedule some activity and you end the day feeling on top of the world because you worked your Arbonne business. Maybe this even happens for a few days or even weeks in a row. Then one day you wake up, maybe you're tired, you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed due to a busy week. You're maybe frustrated because your business isn't where you want it to be. So you're really struggling with the idea of working your Arbonne business that day. Or maybe this lasts for a few days or a few weeks. Maybe you have even put your business down for a little bit because it's just too much. So what is the difference in these two situations? I think that in the second, we would probably say that you are lacking motivation, right? So this is what I like to call the motivation trap. And trust me, I have been there many times. How else do you think I know it exists? And what it boils down to is working our businesses. Sometimes we have, I know from personal experience, I have in the past, and I know I've seen others tend to work our businesses based on our emotions and how we feel. When we feel good and things are going great, or maybe we've just come back from GTC or a local training or a meeting, and we're feeling good and things are going really well and we're working our businesses. Then something in real life hits, or we get a no, or cancellations, and we get discouraged and we get frustrated, and we allow that to impact our mindset and our activity. So I'm going to ask you guys, I want you to, I know you're all muted, so I want you to raise your hand for how many of you have experienced this. Either this roller coaster in your business, or maybe even just one day. 2 hands, Deanna. Yes, amen, me too. Maybe even a day where you didn't feel like working. Okay, Tammy, I know, VPs, we still don't feel like working sometimes, right? Okay, so we can all agree we're on the same page, right? So now that we're there, we're all on the same page, we've all had this happen, let's talk about what we can do to avoid this motivation trap and working our businesses on again, off again, based on our feelings. So to do that, today I was like, okay, let me look up what is the definition of motivation. And what I found came up as the first one was the reason one has for acting a particular way. The reason one has for acting a particular way. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, typically when I hear motivation, I usually connect that with feelings and with a feeling, right? Like we're feeling motivated. But according to this definition, it's not a feeling, it's a reason, the reason behind something, why we do what we're doing. So we have to stop thinking that we have to feel ready and that at some point we will have the confidence and the courage. We have to stop putting off what we need to do because we're missing motivation. I somehow a couple months ago, actually it was my husband shared it with me. It was a short interview. So I rewatched it today. You can find it on YouTube. It was by Mel Robbins. And I know some of you are probably familiar with her because I know the whole 5-second thing has been floating around. She is the author of that. I have not read that book yet, so I don't know if this correlates with that, but it's the same person. And this short interview is she calls it, Why Motivation is Garbage. And it was really great because what she said, a part of what she said in a nutshell was that our minds are designed to protect us and stop us from things that feel scary or difficult or uncomfortable. So we're actually wired that way. But we know that in order to grow in our business or really any area of life, right, we have to do things that are uncomfortable, scary, difficult, or we don't feel like doing. We have to realize that we are not always going to feel like doing the things that are hard or scary. We're never going to feel like doing them. We have to first act, then the feelings will follow. So let's go back to the actual definition of motivation that we just went over. It said that it's the reason one has for acting a particular way, right? So in Arbonne, how does this apply to our business? What is our reason? This is what we refer to as our why. If you've been around Arbonne for probably more than 20 minutes, you've heard us talk about your why. If you're like I was, honestly, a while ago, years ago, I've been in Arbonne for 10 years. So near the beginning, if you're like I was, you heard me just say your why and you've just decided to probably start tuning me out because you're thinking, oh my gosh, geez, here they go talking about this why thing again. Or yeah. I know I've got my why in my head. I know why I'm doing this. I need to make some money. Why else would I be starting a business? I know why. And you're already rolling your eyes or tuning me out. And I know because that was me. Or maybe you are somebody who actually does take your why seriously. Or maybe, I know we've got people that have been in Arbonne for a while on this call. Maybe you've already accomplished some of your whys. So no matter where you find yourself, I want to share with you why we all, every single one of us, need to be regularly defining and aware of our why, and also how to help and the importance of those getting started that we bring onto our teams doing the same. So our whys are our reasons. They are what made us say yes to getting started. We're all here for a reason, right? We all want to have a successful business, and there's a reason why. There's something we need to get from our business. And they're really the foundation. I mean, our whys are our foundation of our business. So this is why you hear us talk about it needing to be big, because it needs to be big enough to make you work. It's got to motivate you. It's got to be that reason behind the action that you're going to take. Now, trust me, I have had times when I seriously considered quitting my business. I was stuck at district manager for a long time, just had my second baby. That's a whole nother story. But there were other seasons in life that have been very difficult to build my business. I've had 3 kids along the way, so I understand and have experienced bed rest and getting up every 2 hours in the night. And let me tell you, you're a totally different person when you're that exhausted and functioning in survival mode. 6 years ago, my husband's family had a major crisis, and his family fell apart. And even as recently as the last 2 years, up until just a few months ago, I've been dealing over 2 years with some personal health issues that have made it really difficult at times to focus or to even be around people or honestly even work at all. But, when I have been in those moments at rock bottom, in those times, what made me decide to not quit and to keep going, it was looking at the end result of our future and what our future would look like if we didn't do this. Sometimes I think that we have to not only define the positive of what we want and where we're headed and what we see in our why for the future, but it's really powerful to also contrast that and turn that on the other side and look at it and think of what will happen and where will we be if we don't do this and we don't pursue what's possible in this business. And that was what happened to me each of those times, that I was more uncertain and scared of waking up the next day without Arbonne if I had quit. Because then I thought, well, then what? Like, what's our plan? How are we going to get out of this paycheck to paycheck, really stressful lifestyle? Not being able to buy a home, being in debt, these things that we were struggling with and wanting to grow our family. I knew that that if I had quit, then I would wake up the next day and I wouldn't have that hope that Arbonne gave us and that possibility of what could change in our future if we kept going. And we didn't have, because we had no other way. Like I said, there's no other opportunity that was even close or better compared to what was possible if we kept building Arbonne. So I want to ask you guys, as we're talking through this, are you crystal clear on your whys? And are they big enough to make you work and to make you stick it out and stay committed and consistent? Because that's what it takes to be successful in this. Because that is how you find what true motivation is to work, even when you don't feel like it, which we've all acknowledged we've had. And to keep going when someone says no, and to avoid that on again, off again business due to our being run by our emotions. We have to treat it like a business and look at it like a business. I love coaching with Tammy, and she'll say, okay, we got to put our business hats on right now. Put on your business brain and think about this like a business. Oh yeah, you're right. Thank you, Tammy. And at this point, you know, over the years, during those times that I struggled or life was hard, it was because I was clear on my why and I was not willing to give up. So I was able to do it at certain times. It was my bare minimum commitment just to stay consistent on some level. My why, I like to look at our whys, like our whys are our boss, really. Because when we work for ourselves, we have to hold ourselves accountable to work, and our why is what's going to make us be our boss, make us do that. You know what? Here's the beauty of it, you guys, is we did reach our original whys and what we set out to do in this. We hit them, and it was so worth it. It's so worth it. The blessing that now with my 3 kids at home, I can stay home and make a really generous full-time income, still working part-time, and the freedoms and choices that's given our family are something that I am so thankful for every day, and continue to keep me going, to keep going and dreaming bigger and going even further. So I want to ask what it is for you. Why did you say yes? Maybe you're brand new and you're just saying yes and this is all new to you. Take the time to write it out. You need to do it more than just having it in your head. I can speak from personal experience, the difference it makes to really take this seriously and define this. Don't take it lightly. If you're married, involve your spouse. If you have kids, involve your kids. Because then everyone understands and has the same expectations and knows why you have to sometimes go out and do Arbonne. I just went out and did a spa party last night, and my middle daughter was like, Mom, I don't want you to go. My husband like swooped in and he was like, do you remember why Mom's going to do Arbonne? We have a boat that we go out on every weekend. We got the boat because Mommy does Arbonne, remember? And she was like, oh yeah, everybody say thanks, Mom. And I walk out the door and they're like, thanks, Mom. And you got to involve, make it a family business, make it a family thing that they know why and what you're doing, make them a part of it. My daughter helps me put together, like if I'm doing little host baskets or orders or different things, she helps me put the little bows on and do that so they feel a part of it. And even involving them in their in your whys. Now that will kick you in your butt. If you want to be held accountable, tell your children because they will ask you. Like, again, my kids know our next biggest goal, because we have to keep planning and dreaming bigger, is we're in the process of working on making Arbonne our main source of income and allowing my husband to walk away from his remodeling business that he owns. And so a couple times a week, probably, when my husband gets up, we have breakfast, he goes off to work, my 4 and 6-year-old daughter, and I have a 9-year-old son, one of them will usually be like, Dad, when are you not going to work anymore? Like, you keep saying that Arbonne's going to make it so you don't have to go to work. And let me tell you, that puts fire under my butt because I'm like, oh, they're waiting. They're counting the days. They know that's what we're working towards. I can't let them down. So sometimes, if nothing else, you got to share it and involve your family. And I lost my place in my notes. Let me look. Like I said, if you're like me, you've maybe already met some of your whys, and it's time to do like I am now and redefining them and coming up with bigger ones. That's why even as life changes and seasons change, we're always redefining them. Recently, when I was having let's call it emotional evaluation with my husband, where I was feeling overwhelmed and like at the end of every day, I felt behind because I felt like it's impossible to get everything done in life in one day. And yet somehow that's like what I'm trying to do with all my checklists, like on paper and in my head, like I want everything to be done and perfect at the end of the day. And I'm trying to accept that that's not possible, but I was having this emotional evaluation and just trying to sort out, like, what's my priorities? How do I do this? How do I not feel like a failure at the end of every day? And my husband just lovingly listened. And then he just asked me, well, what does a successful Arbonne day look like to you? And I was like, I don't know, because I usually just frantically set out trying to do as much as I can, as fast as I can. And like I said, we can't do it all, right? So that question was so powerful to me, to make me really like evaluate, okay, what is a successful Arbonne day? Like, how am I going to feel successful at the end of the day? What needs to have taken place alongside what else I'm doing that day? So I want to ask you the same question and to use that question, because I think sometimes we maybe even in the big whys that we're talking about. Okay, so take this vision big and ask yourself, and define for yourself, what is success for you? That's how you're going to know what your why is, right? Like, what are you working towards? If we don't know what success in our life looks like, or define it, then otherwise we're just like floating around without purpose. And how do you ever know when it's worth it or when you've gotten there? So after you have that big why and success defined, then break it down. And I encourage you, I love like breaking it down and adding smaller ones and milestones to celebrate your success along the way. For example, these are just a couple examples that popped in my head. Maybe one of your goals, let's say one of your big goals is to pay off debt or like student loans or something. So set some goal markers along the way. Okay, once we hit this amount that we pay off, we're going to have a celebratory dinner. Or once I make my next promotion, or get in qualification for my next promotion, we're going to have a family pizza and movie night, and it's going to be no Arbonne at night, and we're going to celebrate together. Or just make things like that to celebrate along the way. And really, like I said, you just got to get as specific as you can in envisioning what a difference this can make for your life. So you want to be as specific as you can, and writing down, for example, for us, that first mark was like an extra $1,000. And we were like, that would totally change our situation. And it did. So what would an extra $1,000 a month do for you? Like, really take the time to think about what you would do with that, what stress that would ease, or maybe if you want to be more generous, or savings for us as well. One of the things that kept me going was we were, for 5 years here in Rochester, we were just renting an old small house as our family was growing. And it wasn't until my Arbonne business really started to grow that we were able to actually buy a home that we see ourselves in forever and are now able to remodel and things like that. So those kind of things, like what is it going to do for you? What's an extra $5,000 a month going to do for you? $10,000, $20,000 a month, guys. If we're talking MVP money, like make a vision board too. This is another fun way to include your family. Define these things of what it's going to look like and print out pictures and put them on a board, on a picture, hang it on your fridge. Ours was on our fridge for years. I need to redo it and put it back up. And then, like I said, even down to that question of like, what does a successful day look like in your business to help keep you focused and consistent? This is what I love Tammy Higginbotham for, and giving us the doing your part worksheet. That is like my Bible of Arbonne. Like, just focus on that, and you'll grow your business. It has everything we need to do, and it keeps it simple. I also over the year came up with, over the years focused on like my 5 phone calls a day, and I just have a simple sheet to track that, where I'm focusing on doing 2 asks a day, 2 follow-ups, and 1 hostess coaching. And for me, like I said, as I've been evaluating, like, what does a successful day look like to me? At a bare minimum, what I've come to myself is looking at, okay, I feel like I've been successful at the end of the day. Even if I didn't get everything on my list that I was hoping to, I at least added someone new to my contact list, or I scheduled an activity. Because those are the things that are going to keep my business moving forward. Those are income producing activities. So I just want to start wrapping it up, and I want to encourage you guys to go on the source and search for, there's a great Learn and Burn. Learn and Burns are trainings that are recorded from Arbonne leaders through the Arbonne website. It is called The Foundation of Your Business, Your Why. And it's by Dana Collins. And she expounds more on how to use the power of your why in helping when working with others on your team and helping them find their why and helping them getting started. She gives really practical wording and scenarios of how to do that. So I really want to encourage you guys to listen to that. And then make sure you're spending time with the action plan. Oh my gosh, the action plan has everything as well that we need. And it starts with your why. And there is a reason, because Carlita knows that this is the foundation, just like I'm sharing. I'm not sharing anything new. It's just what I've learned from all the other leaders along the way. So when you're getting someone started, don't skip the power of this stuff, of having them define their whys and having them share them with you, because you need to know them too, so that you can help support them and encourage them and help them know what they're trying to get out of this business and where they want to go with it. Because that's the piece that's going to connect the reason behind every step you give them to do in getting started and growing their business. And then you can also remind them of it when they have times that maybe they're struggling or discouraged, and you can help refocus them. So I just want you to remember that this business works. Arbonne works. Whatever you need to accomplish in your life is sitting right here. It's sitting right there in your business, waiting for you to grab it. You can have it all. Like, I have realized now at the point I've reached, like, and seeing the future of my business, that we really can have it all in life through this opportunity. Because with this vehicle of our Arbonne business, we can create the amazing income that allows us the ability to choose how we spend our time, which then creates endless choices for your life. And so it's going to look different for each of us, but we all have this same vehicle. So what do you want yours to look like? What do you want your future, your life to look like? Go define it and go get it. That is what I have. So Tammy, I saw you unmute, so I would love to hear any wisdom that you have to add, because I know you have been key in talking me off the ledge and speaking life into me. And all of this topic. So I know you probably have more to add too.
Well, thank you, Marie. That was absolutely outstanding as usual. And as I had mentioned in the comments, you always take time to think and think things through and really, Dr. Tom Barrett talks about take time to think. And I always appreciate the thought you put into the thoughts you put into your training. And what I got from this is that our whys is the foundation of our business. If you don't have that set in place, you can tend to, really be in and out of the business. And I think it's natural to come in and out. It's a natural thing, but if you can keep yourself steady. The other thing is celebrating your goals. I know all the way on my journey, all the way to the top, I celebrated my goals. I mean, every little thing, closing a month out, making sure everybody met their 150 or everybody put in a 150 orders, PCs, all those things we encourage you to do at end of month close. Those, I celebrate that. If we have a good smooth close and everything is, cleaned up and done, I don't celebrate it until it might be a week after close, but it's celebrated after it's done. Maybe it's a day to, that's a personal day or something like that. And I also took from this, Marie, is be real with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself and really search out why you're doing this business and what you need this business to be for you. And then let me see here, the pros and cons of what if it does work and what if it doesn't work. You guys, every single time, the pros are going to outweigh the cons of that. And you're always going to say to yourself, oh my goodness, what if it does? It's worked for this person, this person, this person, this person. And I look at you, Marie, and I've watched you on your journey. Having built, you built a family on this journey. You moved houses. You went through, personal, illness, not feeling well. And you went through a journey that anybody, if they want this, they can make it just like you did. So I see those things. And we have an option. We have a choice in this business, and we can, go ahead and just jump in and stay with it and never give up. That's another thing I took from your training. So those are just a few things, but there was a ton, but those are a few things that personally spoke to me because of my own personal journey in this business. You reminded me of so many beautiful, lovely things that I've gotten to experience because of Arbonne. And so I thank you so much for your training. You did an excellent job.
Marie, this is Carlita, honey, and I just want to say what I love is your transparency and your about like you telling yourself, you know what, you could quit. Because everyone, I think people look at us as VPs especially, and they think, well, they never wanted to quit. They never felt like this. And what I love is that you sat here and you just, boldly told everyone you wanted to quit some days. But what you did was you thought, beyond right now and beyond today, because, maybe today life was not that bad, or maybe your business wasn't that good and it looked like quitting was a good option. But what you did was you look at what does it really look like without Arbonne? And are you okay with that? And that is, to me, the most powerful thing. But it goes right back to what Tammy was saying. It goes to your whys. Like, that's why you were doing the business. But that's why those whys are so important, because if you don't get some rock solid whys, then you won't have anything that pulls you back into this business on those days. And that's why I love spending time really, like, whenever I see financial freedom, retirement, quit my job, none of that is a real why, you guys. You need to know those are not whys. Those are broad statements. A why is, what is life going to look like, just like Marie said, if you don't get to quit your job? Or what is life going to look like if you don't have retirement? Or whatever you think your why is. It needs to be broken down into what would that look like in your life on a daily basis? How would it affect the people you love? How would it affect you? What would you get to do or not do? And those are the whys that people do this business for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I love how you shared that. And I think people miss that. I think they think they may have a why, but they don't really have one that will pull them back in on the days you feel like quitting.
Yeah, and it definitely has to be a big why, because you're going to meet some of your goals along this journey. So it has to be that really, the big, for me, the big one was, what if something were to happen to my main incomer of the household? Well, it did. And I didn't want to face that again. Right. Great job. Thank you so much.
Amazing job, honey. Good job.
Tell Andrew we appreciate all his input.
Yeah. He's all of the voice behind. He's level now. In fact, I thought about having him. He was going to maybe share with me part of it, but he's actually working late tonight, which he really does. He's helping out a friend. So.
Well, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for being on and sitting at the feet of Marie and allowing us all time together. We love you all.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.